We all want to win. It's a fundamental human drive, isn't it? To overcome obstacles, to achieve our goals, to stand triumphant in the face of adversity. But what if the conventional wisdom about winning is, at times, fundamentally flawed? What if the very act of engaging in a fight, of reacting to every challenge, every slight, every provocation, actually diminishes our chances of true victory? What if, in fact, the most powerful strategy for success, for achieving an unwavering sense of peace and effectiveness, lies not in fighting harder, but in learning the profound art of not reacting at all? This isn't about passivity. It's not about resignation, or letting others walk all over you. Far from it. This is about a strength so potent, so deeply rooted, that it can transform your experience of life itself. It's about cultivating an inner fortress, a calm center from which you can survey any storm, and then, with deliberate intent, choose your response. This, my friends, is the essence of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy with surprisingly modern applications, particularly in its teaching on the art of non-reaction. It is how to win, without ever needing to throw a punch. So, what exactly do we mean by not reacting? For many, the very phrase conjures images of emotional suppression, of bottling up feelings until they inevitably explode. But that is a grave misconception. Stoicism does not advocate for emotional numbness. Instead, it invites us to distinguish between an impulsive, often destructive, reaction, and a considered, intelligent response. A reaction is a knee-jerk, automatic burst of emotion, anger, frustration, fear, that bypasses our higher reasoning. It's often dictated by external stimuli and can lead to words or actions we later regret. A response, however, is a conscious decision. It emerges from a place of calm reflection, informed by our values and our long-term goals. It's an exercise in agency, choosing how we engage with the world, rather than letting the world dictate our internal state. The bedrock of this Stoic approach is what they termed the dichotomy of control. It's a simple yet revolutionary concept, articulated most powerfully by the former slave and Stoic philosopher Epictetus. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. What's within our control? Our opinions, our judgments, our desires, our aversions, in essence, our internal world, our thoughts and choices. What's not within our control? External events, other people's actions, our reputation, our health, and ultimately, life and death. The profound insight here is that most of our suffering, most of our impulsive reactions, stem from investing our emotional energy and sense of self-worth in things that are ultimately beyond our grasp. When we learn to ruthlessly categorize everything we encounter into these two buckets, a remarkable shift occurs. An insult hurled our way? Not within our control. Our judgment of that insult, whether we choose to be offended or to dismiss it as mere noise, absolutely within our control. A traffic jam making us late? The jam itself is external. Our choice to fume in frustration or to calmly accept the delay and perhaps use the time for reflection, that is ours. This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about recognizing where our power truly lies. By focusing exclusively on what we can control, we withdraw energy from the things we cannot influence, energy that would otherwise fuel unproductive reactions. This singular practice is the first step towards an unshakable inner calm. Another powerful Stoic tool for cultivating non-reaction is what Seneca called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds rather morbid, doesn't it? But its purpose is profoundly liberating. This practice involves deliberately imagining potential future difficulties, challenges, and even losses. We mentally rehearse what might go wrong. We consider how we would cope if we lost our job, faced public criticism, or encountered a significant setback. By doing this, we strip these future possibilities of their power to surprise and overwhelm us emotionally. The modern mind often recoils from such a practice, preferring instead to focus only on positive affirmations and wishful thinking. Yet, the Stoics understood that by mentally preparing for the worst, we actually prepare ourselves to respond with greater equanimity should those events occur. If you've already considered how you would handle an angry outburst from a colleague, you're less likely to be blindsided and react in kind when it happens. You've already performed the mental gymnastics, allowing your rational mind to take the lead, rather than being swept away by shock and emotion. It's like a fire drill for the soul, ensuring that when the alarm sounds, you don't panic, but instead follow a pre-planned course of action. This drastically reduces the impulse to react wildly, replacing it with a reasoned, prepared response. Further aiding in the art of non-reaction is the Stoic practice of taking the view from above, a kind of cosmic perspective. Imagine for a moment floating high above the earth, looking down at the intricate tapestry of life. From this vantage point, your immediate problem, that trivial annoyance, that perceived slight, appears infinitesimally small. The arguments that feel so consuming, the frustrations that seem so monumental, shrink into insignificance when viewed against the vastness of the universe, the sweep of history, or even just the grander scheme of your own life. This practice is not about minimizing genuine suffering or ignoring important issues. Rather, it's about providing a necessary dose of perspective to those things that often trigger our immediate, unhelpful reactions. It helps us to see that what might feel like a catastrophe in the moment is often merely a fleeting inconvenience in the broader context. By mentally stepping back and gaining this wider lens, we diminish the emotional charge that fuels our reactions. It reminds us that most of the daily irritation simply aren't worth the energy of an emotional outburst, allowing us to maintain our composure and direct our attention to what truly matters. And then there is the profound concept of Amor Fati, the love of fate. This is perhaps the most challenging, yet ultimately the most liberating, aspect of Stoic non-reaction. Amor Fati is not about passive resignation to whatever life throws our way. It is, instead, an active embrace of reality, an enthusiastic acceptance of every circumstance, not merely as something to be endured, but as something to be actively loved. It's about transforming obstacles into opportunities, seeing challenges as grist for the mill of our character development. When we truly adopt Amor Fati, there's no room for the internal struggle, the gnashing of teeth, the railing against "why me" that so often precedes an emotional reaction. If we can genuinely accept, and even love, what is happening, regardless of how painful or inconvenient it may seem, we remove the internal friction that fuels our anger, frustration, and fear. Instead of fighting reality, we flow with it, finding lessons and strength even in adversity. This allows us to approach every situation, good or bad, with an unwavering sense of peace, knowing that whatever happens, we can integrate it, learn from it, and emerge stronger. It's the ultimate form of winning, because you turn every hand you're dealt into a winning hand, not by changing the cards, but by changing your relationship to them. So, why is this art of non-reaction such a powerful winning strategy? Firstly, it preserves your most precious resource, energy. Emotional reactions are incredibly draining. Think about how exhausted you feel after a heated argument or a day filled with frustration. That energy could have been channeled into creative work, problem solving, or pursuing your goals. By choosing not to react, you conserve this vital energy, directing it towards constructive action rather than allowing it to be dissipated in unproductive emotional turmoil. Secondly, it maintains your composure and clarity. When emotions flare, rational thought often takes a backseat. We say things we don't mean, make impulsive decisions, and often escalate conflicts unnecessarily. The Stoic who practices non-reaction, however, remains calm. This clarity of mind allows for strategic thinking. You can assess the situation objectively, identify the core problem, and formulate an effective solution, rather than being swept away by the immediate emotional tide. As Epictetus wisely observed, "He who angers you conquers you." By refusing to be angered, you refuse to be conquered. Thirdly, and perhaps most strikingly, non-reaction disarms opponents. Imagine an aggressor expecting an emotional outburst from you, a shout, a protest, a defensive posture. When met with calm, measured silence or a reasoned, unperturbed response, their expected target vanishes. Their aggression has nowhere to land, no fuel to ignite. This often leaves them disoriented, their power diminished, and the conflict often deflates before it can truly take hold. You win not by fighting back, but by rendering the fight irrelevant. You control the narrative, not the other person's provocation. Fourthly, it earns respect. In a world often characterized by knee-jerk reactions and emotional volatility, someone who demonstrates consistent composure and self-mastery stands out. People naturally gravitate towards stability, wisdom, and strength. Your calm demeanor in the face of provocation communicates a profound inner resilience, a quiet confidence that is far more powerful than any loud protest or aggressive retort. You become a beacon of reason, someone whose perspective holds weight because it is clearly unclouded by emotion. Finally, and most importantly, non-reaction fosters inner peace and leads to better decisions. When your internal world is not constantly being tossed about by external winds, you experience a profound sense of tranquility. This inner peace is not the absence of external challenges, but the absence of internal turmoil in response to them. From this place of calm, your decisions are clearer, more aligned with your long-term values, and ultimately more effective. You are less likely to fall prey to the emotional biases that often lead us astray, allowing you to navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and efficacy. This is true winning, not just in external outcomes, but in the quality of your own life and character. So, how does one cultivate this powerful art of non-reaction? It begins with the fundamental practice of the pause. Between any stimulus and your potential response, there is a tiny, crucial window of opportunity. Most people allow that window to remain closed, reacting instantaneously. The Stoic learns to prise it open, just for a moment. A deep breath. A count to 10. A simple mental reminder, is this within my control? This brief pause is where all change begins, where you reclaim your agency from the grip of automatic impulse. Next, actively practice reframing. When something negative happens, challenge your initial interpretation. Instead of immediately labeling an event as bad or catastrophic, ask yourself, what is the objective reality of this situation, stripped of my emotional judgment? Is this truly a disaster, or merely an inconvenience? What opportunity might lie hidden within this challenge? By consciously altering your narrative, you change your emotional landscape, diminishing the urge to react negatively. Mindfulness and awareness are also critical. This isn't about clearing your mind of all thought, but about observing your thoughts and emotions without becoming identified with them. When anger rises, don't immediately act on it or judge yourself for feeling it. Instead, observe it as a transient sensation, like watching a cloud pass in the sky. Anger is present. By creating this distance, you gain the ability to choose how, or if, you respond, rather than being swept away by the feeling. Journaling can be an invaluable tool. After a situation where you reacted impulsively, write about it. What was the trigger? What was your immediate thought? How did you react? What was the outcome? Critically, how could you have responded differently, more in line with Stoic principles? This reflective practice builds self-awareness and helps you to pre-plan better responses for future similar situations. Lastly, practice voluntary discomfort. The Stoics would sometimes fast, sleep on the floor, or wear simple clothes, not for penance, but to inoculate themselves against external changes. You don't need to go to such extremes, but deliberately exposing yourself to minor irritations, a slightly colder shower, walking in light rain, choosing a less convenient route, can build resilience. Each small act of enduring discomfort without complaint strengthens your capacity to remain unperturbed when larger, unforeseen challenges arise, making you less prone to reactive outbursts. Of course, it's important to address common misconceptions. Practicing non-reaction is not about suppressing your emotions. Emotions are natural, they offer valuable information. The goal isn't to deny them but to prevent them from dictating your actions and clouding your judgment. You can feel anger, frustration, or sadness, but choose not to act on those feelings in a way that is detrimental to yourself or others. It's about feeling wisely, not feeling nothing. Nor is it about being a doormat, letting people walk all over you. Non-reaction is not passivity. It's about choosing your response, and sometimes the most powerful response is calm, assertive boundary setting, or a clear, concise statement of fact, delivered without anger or defensiveness. It's about asserting yourself from a position of strength and clarity, rather than weakness and reactive emotion. You can still fight for what's right, but you do so with intention, not impulse. And is it achievable? Absolutely. It is a practice, not a destination. No one becomes perfectly stoic overnight, or even after years of practice. We are human, prone to error. The goal is not perfection, but continuous progress, a steady improvement in our ability to choose our responses, to maintain our inner peace, and to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and grace. Each conscious pause, each thoughtful reframe, each moment of chosen calm is a victory. In conclusion, the Stoic art of not reacting is perhaps the most profound winning strategy you can adopt. It's a subtle yet immensely powerful way to reclaim control over your inner world, to disarm those who seek to provoke you, and to navigate life's inevitable challenges with an unshakable sense of calm and purpose. It is about understanding that true victory lies not in triumphing over external adversaries through force or argument, but in mastering yourself. By internalizing the dichotomy of control, by preparing for what may come, by gaining perspective, and by embracing all that life offers, you transcend the need for conflict. You win not by fighting, but by refusing to engage in battles that deplete your spirit and divert your energy. You win by maintaining your composure, by choosing your actions deliberately, and by cultivating an inner freedom that no external event can ever take away. Begin today. Practice the pause. Observe your reactions. Choose your response. And discover the quiet, profound power of winning, without ever needing to raise your voice or your hand. The true victory, my friends, is always within.